So when I started going to political events and doing political podcasts back in 2018, I told myself, I said, self, don't ever go into a conversation assuming you know anything about somebody just because of who they support politically or maybe what hat they're wearing. Let people tell you who they are, and then you can make judgments. But don't go into a conversation with somebody and assume because they're wearing a MAGA hat that they're a racist, because it poisons the conversation. It makes it utterly worthless. I hate both sidesism, but this is an instance where people on both sides of the aisle do this constantly. If you're wearing a MAGA hat, you're a homophobe and a racist and a xenophobe and all this other stuff. And if you have a pink pussy hat on, then you want to mutilate our children and all this other bullshit. Those are idiotic assumptions that again poison conversations. You can't talk to somebody effectively if you believe that they are a horrible person based on who they voted for or what kind of clothing they're wearing. So I think I've been pretty good at avoiding that over the years. And I think the evidence of that is the fact that I'm friends with people who disagree with me completely. Otherwise, that wouldn't be possible. Now, I want to show you a photo of an asshole named Ivan Raiklin, lieutenant colonel in the Army. Ivan was down in D.C. when I was there. I've actually interacted with him a few times, but this recent conversation I had with him is a really good example of how shitty people can get when they assume they know everything about you before even talking to you. Ivan came up to me after we had had a conversation on a podcast where he insulted me several times. He came up to me, and because I'm, friends with Enrique Tarrio and a bunch of the Proud Boys, he said, "Is that stuff that you do on the podcast like a bit? Is that like a routine? Are you playing a Why the fuck would you think that?" I say what I think, and it is genuine. And he couldn't really wrap his mind around the idea that I could be completely politically different than somebody and still, be friends with them or be, respectful to them and all this. And I don't get that. I don't understand why people who are drastically different can't just get the fuck along, because it's really not that hard. But he doesn't get that because he's one of these people who is just so fucking into combat that they can't actually respect anybody else. And he's also one of these guys, and this is the worst part of it, that doesn't understand that when someone else is talking, you should maybe listen to them instead of projecting whatever you have, whatever preconceptions you have about that person based on, whether they're on the left or the right, onto them. Right. So when I'm talking to Ivan, he's not listening to what I'm saying. He's just thinking about how he's going to own the libs. And people on the left do that too. They don't listen to what Enrique is saying or what Joe Biggs might be saying or any people on the right. They're thinking about the clever fucking retort that they're going to have. Well, that is a completely fucking self-defeating situation. You are not going to get anywhere. You're not going to convince anybody of your opinion, and all you're going to do is insult the other side. And that's fucking utterly useless. So having a conversation with someone like Ivan, unfortunately, is fucking pointless. And I wish it wasn't, because he's a smart enough guy. We could have a decent discourse, but he's not going to allow that because he isn't listening to anything that I actually say. And I pride myself on the fact that I do listen to what other people have to say. As much as I may disagree, I am listening to you when you talk to me. I'm not thinking about the thing that I'm going to say next because that is just a shitty way to converse, to have intercourse. It's ineffective. It doesn't work. And if we could just get past that shit, if you could just listen to somebody else, you may think that what they're saying is total horse shit. Okay, fine. Have a discussion about it. But not even hearing it, not even letting it penetrate your fucking eardrums is really dumb. And that's what we're doing right now. What we're doing is we're not listening to each other. We're just thinking about the next thing that we're going to say. We're just trying to, own the libs, or this probably an equivalent on the left. I don't even know what it's called, but you've got politicians, outright admitting that all they care about is fucking with the other side. And that's disgusting, man. It really is. It's not effective. It doesn't get us anywhere. We don't learn anything. That's for goddamn sure. So, what are we doing? I've had interviews. I've done interviews on podcasts with people who vehemently disagree with everything that I have to say, who have been pretty decent about allowing me to speak, and they've given their retorts, and everything's cool. But unfortunately, that's the minority. So for every person like, a Sandy Rios or a Joe Altman who have had me on their shows and just had reasonable, arguments, disagreements, but they've been good people who've actually listened to what I have to say. There's like 50 people who have just, ignored everything and thrown, silly fucking ad hominem pejorative bullshit at me. And that's just sad. But that's unfortunately where we are in this country. In this world. I mean, it's not just America. I mean, it's everywhere. And it's sad. And I wish it wasn't the case, but what are you going to do? I guess make some fucking stupid videos that nobody's going to watch and complain about it. But I'm trying. I really am trying to make this easier for everybody to just have a conversation. You know, I'm giving it my best, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And it's depressing. And you could comment. But as I always say, commenting